What is complexity theory that you just mentioned there? Is that the 6 points you just outlined, or is that something else?
No, complexity theory is a way of understanding systems as dynamic and interactive, always in that interaction adapting to what other systems that they encounter are doing. And there's a couple of, when I first encountered it, the way of understanding, let me back up. My education in college was 50 years ago, and a lot of the thinking in the sciences was very mechanistic. But in the decades since then, evolutionary sciences, the sciences of ecology, which are shot through all the studies that you are doing here, those became very well developed. So instead of the mechanical principle of this causes this, and what we have is this is interacting and it's in its own processes, and those processes have a history, and new things are emergent all the time, and they are interacting with this, and a couple of principles of change. One way of describing things that are kind of stable is they call it basins of attraction. The conditions keep leading to this range of outcomes, and you can push on it hard and it doesn't change that outcome. But the other thing that can happen, because complex systems are exquisitely sensitive to, they're dependent on the initial condition. So a small change in initial conditions can leap a system from one basin of attraction to a whole different basin of attraction that is also in its set of possibilities. And my most specific and hopeful example for that is human societies organized under principles of mutuality or under principles of dominance. Both of those are part of the human heritage. They exist in the biology of every one of us, and in the psychology and culture of every one of us. And so what we have is right now, we really see what seems the firm seatedness of the basin of attraction dominance. It's scary to see that it has such a stable, strong hold on what's going on. But what we also know is subversions to that are happening all the time inside of it. We don't know which subversions are going to help the human collective to restore itself to mutuality as a basin of attraction, which is where we have thrived. Dominance in narrow moments of our history has been where we survived. That's why it's part of us. Mutuality is where we have thrived. And I give you another science example because I love this story. Yeast colonies. In yeast colonies, there's there's 2 strains that have different paces of metabolism, and because one is a very fast metabolizer, it's a fast reproducer. And the other is a more moderate metabolizer and a moderate reproducer. And everything has contradictions. The fast metabolizers produce more toxic byproducts than they can clean up. If it was all the fast metabolizers, this is what happens. The colony collapses and dies. The moderate metabolizers can manage their own waste and the waste of the fast metabolizers. And these colonies settle into a dynamic equilibrium where there continue to be fast metabolizers, but not enough to wreck the colony. The moderate metabolizers, what I think of as the more mutualistic way of approaching things, even though they wouldn't be conscious of it, keep the whole thing going. And I think that's our project. When we get locked into head-to-head confrontations with the dominators as our only mode of action, we exhaust ourselves. Dominators are very good at drawing us into conflict where they have more power. And fear is one of the dominator system's most potent tools. So if we're in head-to-head confrontations all the time, and we're afraid all the time, and we're scattered fighting here and there all the time, dominator system can just hold. But if we remember that all we have to do is out-cooperate the dominator system's actions, that's our job. And that's why I think of change. And I think this is where the Inaris Project's vision is so eloquent. All we have to do is create, generate, recognize that we are the outcome of countless systems of interaction over long, long eons, as well as milliseconds. And all we have to do is keep on being that possibility. And sometimes it means sometimes it means closing down Citibank in downtown Boston. No, where was that in New York? Citibank is the biggest funder of fossil fuels, or among the 3 biggest. And it was literally closed down in an occupation by nonviolent direct activists. And I thought, okay, what does it do to close that down for a day? Joanna Macy calls these holding actions. And I'm like, what does it do? And I thought, well, let's add one element. What if we're the people there and we are standing in non-enmity, but face to face with the people who are trying to go to work in that building and can't? And we're saying, we have to stop this because it's destroying the living systems that we depend on. Our well-being will be shattered. That of millions of human beings is already being shattered. And we have to try to stop this. And the work you do in there is making it go on. And we are here to face you with that contradiction as human beings. That the work you do there, the systems you're part of, are destroying the livability of our planet. And we are here to say, it has to stop. There's an invitation there for the human potential to step out of dominator systems. Now that doesn't always work. I mean, domination is really pleasurable. It hits the pleasure centers of the brain. Being mean feels good. And domination, people often stay in dominator systems because they're afraid that if they are not allied with the big man, there won't be enough food, or they will be crushed and defeated. So fear also holds people there. But every human system is full of contradictions. And that's where we want to, I think, do our work. That was a real long answer.
No, thank you. That was a very brilliant answer, especially like the idea of out-cooperating. That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah.
So, thank you.